Welcome back to Afternoon Garage. So today I'm going to talk about something that's probably kind of dry, like an oil leak or an oil change or something like that, but I think it's well worth talking about and going over. I'm going to talk about the clutch slave cylinder on this car, which is really kind of one of those things that ownership of this car, you have to keep up with maintenance in it, you have to keep flushing fluid in it. So in order to make this video a little more engaging, I found out something else that you can do with this car. So here, let's try this out. All right, now we'll make sure these time circuits are working. All right, we're ready to go. Flux capacitor, fluxing. This dog here, she's getting kind of old. She's getting kind of gray in the face. So we'll put her in the time machine and see if we can't fix that. This one here is a wire coat Dachshund. Again, kind of old, kind of a little crusty. We'll fix that. This one here, boy, he's a really old wiener. He's like 12 or 13 years old. That's pretty old for a wiener dog. This one here, she's kind of old. She's had a good long life, but she's getting up there in age. This one here, she never really grew. She just kind of looks like a Presto log. But again, she's old, so. Then we have this one here. She's not too old, but a little bit stinky. Maybe we can fix that with the Delorean. All right, guys, ready to go for a ride? So what we do is we close them in. Well, that flux capacitor has to be on. They turned that on. That's good. Okay, you guys okay in there? All right, I can't wait to see what we have. Let's check it out. Oh my gosh, it worked. The time circuits worked. Flux capacitor. This is that Gen 2 flux capacitor, so you don't need to go 88 miles an hour. All right. I got lots of puppies now. Awesome. So when I got this car, it had a clutch problem. And you know, I really couldn't even see it on the test drive. I drove around the block and I really didn't find out that, hey, that was a problem until I got home and I tried to drive it down the road and found out that as it would disengage the clutch, it would be farther, the pedal would come up more and more and more to where eventually the clutch would be engaged and your foot would be all the way down and the clutch would not disengage. So that's a problem. And what causes that? There's two things that can cause that. It can be a master cylinder leaking past the seals when you press the clutch in and it's not pushing fluid to the rear. Or in my case, it was a slave cylinder in the rear that just happened to be leaking just enough, then sucking air back into the system. So you really wouldn't see too much leakage. I'm sure that there was leakage. I didn't happen to see it. This thing's located in a terrible place on top of the motor. And we'll go find out and go see where that is and do maybe an annual service on it. Here's a slave cylinder for the clutch up in there. I'm gonna pull that out and inspect it. It's kind of rusty. Don't know really what's going on with the boot either. The boot looks like it's kind of broken. So we'll get up in there and take that thing off. So I think what we're gonna do is take that clutch line off, that hydraulic line off, and plug that. I think what we're going to do is rather than break that line up there and have it just drip all over the place, which it will do. I think we'll follow that line down. This is the clutch line right here. We will break right there, pull it apart, 15 and 19. All right, so that line was disconnected here, and I used a plug, a silicone plug. Alright, here we have the clutch slave cylinder. So you can see this rubber. Again, this is only 2 years old, so I'm pretty sure that the reason this weather's so bad is because, number one, this car was parked outside for a little bit, and I think the rain drips right down onto this thing. As you can see, it just shows sign that this would be the underside of it, so you can see it sits in there just like that. So it's probably just getting hit with weather. I had this rebuilt, and somebody did this. I think it's a cast iron body, and they took and they sleeved it. I don't know if you can see that. They sleeved it with a brass sleeve. And you can see that that's coming apart too. So we definitely want to put some kind of a rubber boot on this between the actual actuator rod that hits the fork here, and want to protect that from something. So I think I'm gonna take the rust off of this and then and try to find some kind of a cap. So what I found was this. This is a cap. This is kind of a weird size. It's an 1 3/8. I think this thing is 35, 36 millimeter. And it's really hard to find a 36 millimeter cap, so the sizes are 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches, and I was luckily able to find somebody who made an 1 3/8, and it looks like this will go right on here. Maybe punch a hole in the end so that the actuator rod can slide in and out here, and then of course we'll be flushing this line out. Part stripped the rust pretty well with the wire wheel on the die grinder. See, it's got kind of a little bit of corrosion. You can see where the brass liner is now that I've taken the rust out here. I was thinking about using something like this, and I thought, this is kind of abrasive. So I went to 3M has this is what I use for cleaning paint off of anything, and it will not scratch a surface. It's the least abrasive. So we'll put some grease, waterproof grease on the shaft that goes in here. The other one had kind of a rubber that fit tight on there, and kind of a rubber bellows situation. So this we're going to have to put a little grease on there to get our seal. I think it'll work just fine. Okay, there's this right here is the pivot pin here. So probably some red Scotch Brite on that, cleaning that up.
2 hours later. Approximately 10 hours later.
Alright, out of it. There we go. Alright, got the slave cylinder back in, got the line hooked up. Boy, it's really hard to see in there. And then taking and putting my bleeder here, vacuum bleeder, and we'll put some vacuum on it, and I'll reach up there and crack that bleeder a few times and get some fluid going through it until it goes clear. Here's why you want to change that fluid. This fluid is a regular .4, so it's a little higher temperature than .3. They recommend not to put synthetic in there. So, but you can see the fluid I drew out, and I drew it out until it got kind of clear. This is the same amount of fluid. You can see how clear that is. So what happens is this turns acidic, starts tearing the O-rings apart. So what you really want to do is keep up on this, flush it out at least every couple years maybe, so doesn't get like this, and then you don't have to do as much maintenance. So to check the operation of the clutch, you want to push in the clutch. Make sure you feel it. It'll actually just kind of release a little bit, just about halfway down. You can feel if it's actually disengaging the clutch. So in my case, what I had was I'd have a hard pedal, it'd be fine for a while, and then once it lost some fluid, well, then all of a sudden I'd have a real soft pedal and I couldn't get the clutch disengaged to even drive it or shift gears anywhere. As I said before, it can be one of two things. What we just worked on, or the master cylinder here in front. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I'll be working on a few different cars in the next few months. Should be very interesting. And remember, you can do all things.